Howdy BookTube, Nikki here with my March wrap up. I cannot believe it's April already. What even is happening? Would you believe me if I told you that I planned to film this video on time? Nay, early even. However, we had a bit of a cyclone. We were largely unaffected, but the weather got a bit cray there for a few days. And with everything happening, I didn't really find a chance to film. I read a whole bunch of books last month. I read 7 novels and 6 comic books or graphic novels. So I'm gonna split this wrap up into 2 videos. That's 4. Into 2 videos. So these will be all the novels that I read, and I'll make a video of all the comic stuff that I read, because I know there are some people that are like solely interested in the books, some people that are only interested in the comic books, and some people that want to watch both. Everybody wins! Like I said though, I read a bunch of books, so let's not dilly-dally. Without further ado, here they are. I'm going to start with a couple of books that I reread, and then we'll do the normal, like, lowest to highest rated book of the month. I reread Crocodile Tears by Alex Wright. I always do that. He didn't write the book, he was in the book. I reread Crocodile Tears by Anthony Horowitz. This is book number 8 in the Alex Wright series, which until now has had 9 books and a prequel, but in June is getting a 10th book. What? Yes. And I just happened to have started rereading this series when I found that out. So it's very good timing all round. Alex Wright is of course our reluctant teen spy. MI6 keeps blackmailing him into doing stuff. Last book we explored him trying to figure out stuff on his own, but then in this book he's being blackmailed again. So he didn't get really far with that. Sorry Alex, sucks to be you. This series is a lot of fun, over the top explosive action and stuff, and then you've got Alex Wright who has complete deadpan humor. It's amazing. Looking forward to rereading the next one, and then in June getting another book. I'm a little apprehensive, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm too excited to care. So I also reread The Year Nick McGowan Came to Stay by Rebecca Sparrow. Rebecca Sparrow is a local author. This is set in my city, which is cool, and this came out when I was like 16. So I read it a long time ago, and I thought it was hilarious and charming, and I love Rebecca Sparrow's hilarious writing style. It makes me so sad that she hasn't written more books, but like she does other stuff now. It's about a girl named Rachel who's in her last year of high school. Now while Rebecca isn't a boarding school student, she doesn't board at the school, there are boarders there, and one of them is named Nick McGowan. And Nick McGowan gets kicked out of the boarding accommodation at school because he does something stupid. So he wants to still go to this school, but he needs somewhere to live because he doesn't live locally. And Rachel's dad is like, oh yeah, sure, come stay with us. Much to Rachel's complete mortification. That sounds kind of like it could be just a fluffy love story contemporary, but it's not even really romance. It's just hilarious. Hilarious times. I read it in one sitting. I want to read it again already. It does touch on a couple of serious issues, and it's not just goofy, like it has a good message about it. So I just think everyone should read this book. There's lots of bird activity happening outside. There were 2 birds before, like yelling at each other, like in bird language, and it sounded like a scene from Jurassic World. Now onto the books that I read for the very first time this month. This is The Mutation, book number 36 in the Animorph series by Catherine Applegate. This is pretty terrible, and I don't want to talk about it. I don't think it's an essential book if you want to reread the series. There are 54 books and then 10 other books. Not every one of them is going to be gold. I finally picked up The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon, which it seems everybody was reading because I had no idea, but apparently they just relaunched this series with new covers. Of course they would do that. Thanks guys, thanks. This is about a 19-year-old girl named Paige, and she lives in Scion, London. It's like super oppressive, like we hate anything supernatural. So there are a bunch of people that are clairvoyant. Paige is a dream walker, and there's something called oracles and other stuff. Okay, I'm gonna be real with you. I had no idea what every second word in this book meant. Like I somehow enjoyed it, but I had no idea what anyone was talking about ever. I didn't discover until like 400 pages in. There's a good old glossary at the back, but then it didn't really help me that much. There's a lot of jargon. I don't know how I enjoyed this book because I don't understand it, but I did. I don't know. I think it partly is me as a reader as well. I often don't read a lot of big fantasy. I don't know if I'm going to continue this series because A, it means I have to buy a book that doesn't match this one, and B, I can't really say why I enjoyed this one. Next up we have The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. This is a weird little book, yo. My copy's signed because I met Holly Black, which is cool beans. This is a standalone fantasy book. This follows Hazel and Ben, their brother and sister. It's set in the present day, and in their town there is like a little forest, and in that forest there's like a glass coffin with a prince asleep in it, and nobody can figure out how to open it. And then one day the coffin is smashed and it's empty, and they're like, whoa. So I found that cool, sort of having this fantasy set in suburbia. It gave me a lot of Raven Boy vibes. If you like the Raven Boys, you might like this. It's got the same eerie weirdness. It's a little bit creepy at times. I did find the storytelling a little bit repetitive because in order to learn things, we had to revisit moments we'd already seen. And I didn't totally love all of the romance that was going on, but I do love that Holly Black explores these weird concepts. Next we have Half Moon Investigations by Owen Colfer. I've read a bunch of Owen Colfer. I've read Artemis Fowl, where an 11-year-old genius finds out about the existence of fairies and proceeds to blackmail them. Airman, which is an epic, historic adventure story. There's a Wish List, which is a quirky story about a girl who dies with some unfinished business. And we have Half Moon Investigations, which is about Fletcher Moon. Fletcher is a 12-year-old private detective and he solves mysteries for his schoolmates. And one day he has to prove his own innocence because he's been accused of something terrible, and he has to do it by working with Red Sharky from the Sharky family, who are the town criminal family. Everyone knows they're bad news. It's just a delightful story. There are a couple of times where you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but for the most part, I think what makes this book work is that Owen Colfer takes it seriously. A really fun read that I recommend for middle grade readers. Next we have Heroes of Olympus, The House of Hades. This is the 4th book out of 5 in the Heroes of Olympus series, following Percy Jackson and the gang, and I absolutely love this book. This is probably my favorite in this series so far. It's absolutely amazing. Loved every second. Oh my goodness. This series has such a great ensemble, and it works so well because Rick Riordan has constructed these awesome characters. Amidst the Greek and Roman mythology that can be a little bit wacky sometimes, you have these characters who feel super authentic, and their relationships with each other are like one of my favorite things. Not even just like the romance, although Persebeth for life, alright? But like their friendships and the way they interact with each other, like that's what makes this book work. I absolutely loved every minute of this book. I cannot wait to read the next one. Finally, we have A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. This is illustrated by Jim Kay, and the illustrations are both like creepy and beautiful at the same time. I don't want to talk too much about the plot of this book because I went in completely having no idea, except that there was a monster and a boy. And that's all you really need to know. I haven't seen the movie or anything yet, but I did read the second half of this on my way home from seeing Logan. My feelings were destroyed. They were chopped into tiny pieces. But I think as beautiful as this book is and sad as it is really honest as well. I think that's what's important about this book, and that's why it makes it a really important read on so many levels. Someone needs to tell me if the movie's good because I haven't seen it yet. What's good, Miley? It doesn't even make sense. These are all the books that I read. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna drop them. Let me know in the comments below what you read in March, and if you've read any of these books like ever, what did you think? Did you disagree? Did I diss your favorite book? Or are we still book besties? I'm gonna go check on my dog because he had an operation. He's got the cone of shame going on. I want to make sure it doesn't get stuck somewhere. So I'm gonna go do that. I'll see you next time, but in the meantime, let me know in the comments below what book to movie or TV show adaptation you are most looking forward to in the coming year. I'm really looking forward to Runaways, which is an adaptation of the comic book series Runaways. Also, if you are in Queensland or New South Wales, are you okay? Did you survive Debbie? She was a bit rude. I don't know anyone who was personally affected too badly, so I hope that everybody is okay, and I hope that your loved ones are all safe. Have a good week, and I'll see you next time.